Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today we have a couple of special guests with us. We have the man himself, Cozy Gamer. How are you doing, buddy? Pulling this all together on another episode of the Pokemon Unite show. And then, of course, the content cowboy. Do it with me, Cozy.
Yeehaw! How was that?
How you guys doing today?
Thank you for that. I own that.
Yeah, were you ready for yeehaws there? Were you... Oh, awesome.
I'm getting an invoice and a cease and desist already. Like, it's on the way.
Take this video down immediately.
Demonetized, yeah, immediately. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. Today, we've got 6 different topics. We're each going to cover 2, and on each of our channels, you can find 2 of the topics. The first 2 are going to be on the one you're watching right now, which is going to be Krashy's. That's going to be talking about what we think is going to make Pokemon Unite better. We're also going to be talking about the most needed buffs and nerfs for the Pokemon in general, or the classes. I think there's a lot of good commentary that we're going to have there, guys. And then next up, we have Zapdos conversation. Feel like that's always relevant. So we're going to be talking about that on Mr. Spragels' channel. And then perfect Pokemon synergies, content cowboy. That's gonna be about best lane partners. Who do you not want to go against when you first get down in bottom or top lane? And then lastly, on my channel, we'll be talking about the best Blastoise builds and how you can get the most out of your Blastoise, and he's pretty crazy. And then lastly, the fan favorite, the Pokemon Unite draft, and we've got a good one. It's gonna be me versus the content cowboy, with Krashy being our commentator. Isn't that right?
That's right. That's right. So I say let's go ahead and jump into it. We got a lot to go through and some awesome stuff. So make sure y'all check out the links in the description and in the pinned comment. Y'all want to take it away? What would make Pokemon Unite better?
Absolutely. How about you start us out, Spraggles? What are we going to talk about? What would make Pokemon Unite better, Mr. Spraggles?
Well, I think we all wanted to talk a little bit about the rank system in this game, right? And we could probably talk for a very long time about it, but yeah, I'll basically just say that matchmaking and ranked is kind of a mess. It's tough being in the master rank, whatever that means. It's kind of unclear at times too, but it's tough being in a higher rank and getting matched with people who are still learning the game, because as a primarily solo queue player, there's really nothing you can do but win a few, lose a few, win a few, lose a few. It's just kind of a never-ending cycle of win streaks and loss streaks in that rank.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'll give my really good oversimplification of how I think about it. Ranked in this game, and I'm going to be a little harsh here because I just kind of like my perspective. It's a complete joke. It's a complete waste of time outside of just hitting masters. And I've even been trying really hard to shift my entire perspective to get masters, because that's a goal to chase, and then just stop caring entirely. Like, secure your 20k tickets, secure your reward, and then just give up on it unless you're a 5-man team, or unless you just want to play ring, because it's slightly more structured. The matchmaking ranges of the different people you can get is ridiculous. The ease, in my opinion, of getting to masters, like, it should have been harder for me. I don't think I'm the best Pokemon Unite player or anything, but it should have been much harder. And it just feels like there's nothing really going on well there. The leaderboard, is dominated by teams, which, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? Like, I don't blame them for playing in teams, but I couldn't catch them if I could climb solo queue anyways. So it just feels like a mess. It feels like a lot of the appeal of MOBAs is the competitive side, and the replay value of the game does come from ranked. So I definitely think that we want to see some changes in that the whole ranked experience.
So 2 questions on that. Do you think, first, is it going to be better just to have solo queue have their own single-handed dedicated queue? Or do you think, and at the moment, for both of you, do you think right now, if you're not having a 5-man stack, is it better to solo queue, 3-man, 2-man stack? What are you seeing? Because everyone's running into the same problem, and it's once you hit masters, it's like, now what? It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because I, right before hopping on with you guys, I just talked directly into camera about these very thoughts. So I'm sorry if this is overkill for whenever I eventually release that video. But yeah, everything Krashy was saying is exactly right. Your master rank means nothing unless you play with a dedicated 5-person team. That's the only way it means anything. What they need to do is they need to split it up And I kind of get where it's at right now because the game just came out and they don't want someone who gets to master rank to maybe have to sit there and have that 5-minute, 10-minute wait time that some MOBAs get to when you're a really high ranked player waiting for a match. So I kind of get all of... I get how we got here, but as this game moves forward, they need to break it up. There needs to be a solo queue for ranked, and then a 5-person queue. Maybe after that, like a solo duo or something like that. But it needs to be broken up.
I think that there's like a couple ways they could do it, and really it would come down to like, I guess, their choice or what the community would most prefer. You could either have full split queues where you have like a solo duo queue only, or you could have, and then a team queue on the side. So 2 completely different queues with 2 different completely different leaderboards. Or you could have like when you hit say ultra or masters, it automatically shifts into solo duo queue only. And that's something that I think most games that are competitive do. I know like Valorant has it like that. Like once you hit the high ranks in Valorant, like no more team queuing or no more, you know, stacking up too much. And then I think League of Legends has a bunch of different queues. I haven't touched League in many years, so but I think they have a bunch of different queues. And ultimately, I think from my perspective, it feels like teams are the minority. They're almost always the minority. So it is really important to preserve the like solo, duo, trio queue experience for players. And I feel like most of us, even maybe most people watching, would probably feel like, yeah, I'm not playing 5-stacked all the time. Like this needs to be a little bit more fair and fun.
Without question. And then that's only gonna, you know, get even worse when mobile releases, right? You're gonna have even more players coming in. And I just feel I feel like this isn't rocket science. MOBAs have been out a while. I know Smite's done it well. And I would, I would much rather wait a little longer for a game. I love the instant queues, don't get me wrong, but like, I'll wait longer if it means that we can get a better priority system, how it works. I mean, a pure solo queue, guys, would be awesome. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it'd be really cool to have that feeling that everyone in there is on an equal footing, trying to communicate with their teammates and the entire kind of how the battles work out overall. But yeah, definitely an important issue, Krashy. Any other thoughts on that?
I mean, no, I think we all know that is something that would definitely improve the feeling of the game. I actually spent my last stream avoiding ranked almost entirely. I think I played 2 games of ranked, and I did nothing but in-house like custom friendlies with chat. And just to reiterate, because I think this is an important thing, anytime I say something negative, I either want to provide solutions or I want to say something positive. The gameplay in this game, chef's kiss, like phenomenal. I love the gameplay. It has nothing to do with the gameplay. It's just about how we engage in the gameplay. So when I have fun games, they're fun games. I played custom lobbies with random viewers in my community, and they were more competitive than 99% of my ranked games. We were contesting Dreadnought for like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. It was crazy because it feels like these are the people that pay attention to how the game's supposed to be played, and these are the people that are working to improve. And I was like, dude, that right there, that needs to be ranked. Like that would be amazing. So the gameplay, phenomenal. We just got to get it in the right ecosystem. Yeah,
100%. It only takes 1 or 2 people to kind of ruin a match in a sense. Like, and that's the main aspect. And I've seen that custom games. I've done the same with my viewers, and they've become more competitive and even more fun. And that's it makes me want more out of the competitive system. And if a game like this, I think, is going to survive more and more and more, it's going to need ranked to be polished up completely. That's where a lot of the focus needs to go. Ready to move on from that, but Spraggles, Jake, do you have anything else to add to that as well? I know you have a whole video, but
totally disagree with both of you guys, but we just have to move on.
It is what it is.
Well, love it. So this would make Pokemon Unite better on a more kind of a quality of life note. I want to kind of talk about the reward system in general. Now, you get to level 40 and that's kind of it for your trainer level, right? You get to masters and you can climb, or, you know, kind of what we just talked about. You know, we've talked about it briefly, but I want to see more recognition for A, playing the same Pokemon and kind of giving dedication there, and B, just random rewards and all cosmetic. I don't want anything that gives an advantage, but I would love to see, fellas, just more rewards in general, whether it be coins, whether it be AOS chip, whatever it might be, or as we've talked about before, master skins, a skin exclusive to playing one character over and over and showing you dedication, or profile frames or something in that aspect. What are your thoughts, both of you, with that, with play recognition?
Do either one of y'all, thank you. I was gonna say, do either one of y'all have the battle pass maxed?
I do.
Yes,
I just
So you know how you get the like the little crates at the end?
Yes.
They could literally do that for trainer level. Like in maybe the rewards wouldn't be so strong, but like you could open a box and maybe it has like 5 item enhancers, or open a box and it gives you like, you know, 10 tickets or something. So it's just like this infinite reward system, or even if it's coins, just additional coins, because I mean, we definitely have the coin cap, and I think even messing with that a little bit could be better for the game. But just some kind of like, you know what, you're playing the game, here you go, you know what I mean? Like, you're continuing to invest your time, which you know, for a free-to-play game, time is money. You know, in the world, time is money. So yeah, I mean, give us a little something for that. I definitely think that would be really, really healthy. Or
the shiny versions of the skins would be cool. I think
mastery, we talked about it before. Mastery system would be amazing.
I think
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the nice thing about the idea of the shiny skins and a mastery system is everyone has this idea, which means they know this. They know this is something people want. It's kind of a no-brainer, and I think we will get something like it. Maybe I'm being too much of an optimist right now, but I'm just thinking they are going, this game just came out, we're gonna start season 1 with something like this. As it goes on, I wouldn't be surprised if you get better and better rewards for reaching master rank in each season. Krashy and I at one point talked about getting, you know, some sort of emblem around your trainer card of where you were in each season, stuff like that they do on a lot of MOBAs.
Yes.
So I think we will see stuff like that, but we will never see patch notes.
Yeah,
at least not good ones.
Yeah, not detailed. Yeah, and like, I think Hollowware in general might just, I feel like it's just kind of a shallow version of itself right now. I think, like, you know, hey man, I'm a fan of white tube socks, but after like the 50th time you've gotten the socks, you know, it's like, you know, I kind of would want something different. I think all of the customizable stuff is probably going to get touched up. I could agree there for sure. You know, maybe more socks.
I had an interesting talk on stream last night about the basically like paid cosmetics, or just the cosmetics in the game, and the general consensus was like, yeah, they all kind of suck, like they're all not great. But here's the thing, I'm worried for a couple reasons, but I also, like I said, I have a couple solutions that I think they could find a way to do with, or to implement. The Pokemon skins, I think inherently, and it's probably based on contractual obligations, they can't really change the Pokemon much. I feel like they have to stick really true to the silhouette. They have to stick, which is really important for games and game design in general, but they have to, like, the Pokemon has to, you have to look at it and know exactly who you're looking at. So it feels like they're leaning into this clothing model, like everything is just clothing. And I want to find a way for them to step outside of that box just a little bit, you know, especially when it comes to like holidays. Like, you can give me holiday clothing, don't get me wrong. If that's a Santa Claus Blastoise or a Snorlax, I'm still going to be happy with it. That's going to be more exciting than just putting a scarf around someone's neck or something. But find a way to step out of that box a little bit. And then this is another one that I've been thinking about. Trainers. We don't get enough of our trainer at all. They need to have, like, when the game is loading up, give me a trainer animation with my character pulling out a Pokeball and throwing out my Pokemon. Like, find a way to infuse my trainer and my trainer's design into the gameplay a little bit more. And I think that will add a lot of value to what they've already built in terms of those cosmetics.
Yeah, outside the select screen, that's it. That's all you get for your trainer, and then you get the kind of the laggy menu when you go in, and that's, you know, that's it. First of all, I think the Dapper Dan Blastoise is pretty sick. I mean, but yes,
it's pretty good. Yeah, but that's a pretty good one.
You know, so
I never needed to see a Blastoise that was heading into a cigar bar in New Orleans. Not really.
It's like he's going to a Sizzler. He's like going to a Sizzler Chili's for sure.
It's not that it's not kind of cool, but it is bizarre that their thought was dress them all up when they could do something maybe more themed around the Pokemon or something. Like Snorlax is wearing pajamas because he's sleepy or something, but instead they're like, I don't know, what if he's going out to dinner?
Give him a berry. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Crash, you hit it very well. So I'm a content creator both for Pokemon Unite and Disney content, and I can speak on the Disney side of things where they are so careful with their IPs. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You are not allowed, these companies, they say you can go this far, but they have, for Disney, for example, they have a team of over 200 people that just work on Ariel, just as a one character. And it's probably the same in Pokemon. I think they're so careful because they're such iconic. I mean, I'm not saying Crustle is the most iconic character, but I think they are probably very limited at what they can do. But shiny skins, or even like that, you know, that first Pokemon movie where they got the clones or whatever, like that doesn't change the integrity of the character, and it's still cool. But like Greninja, like this skin, I swear when I bought it, I looked at it forever. I'm like, what is it? What's the difference? You know, it could be better.
Especially in certain stances, you can't even tell. But you know what I was thinking of? Like one Holloware I would like literally kill to have is like the fat Pikachu, like the fat Pikachu card. If they could make like a really like little chubby version, like there's so much opportunity. And like I don't know, like even if they could make like I don't know. I want them to step outside that box, and I'm worried that contractual obligations and like Pokemon Company is just like, hey, look, we're all for this game, and we know you got to monetize, but you can't change our characters, and that's going to get a little dangerous in terms of monetization. Because I'm not. I don't want to call myself a whale, but I'm definitely willing to spend money on games, but not like this.
Not really. Not a flower on Greninja.
Not like this. Yeah.
I think they've got the right idea with the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 skins. We've seen this in MOBAs before. I think Cinderace and Talonflame, and I think they got those pretty well, done. But they're pretty cool. I think that they need to do that a little bit better and probably fix that up. And the entire whole energy tank thing, I think, is just an interesting mechanic. But yeah, skins and cosmetics, definitely a big one. Jake, for you, anything to add? What would make Pokemon Unite better?
Ooh, what would make it better? I think, oh, are we still on what would make it better? Because I wanted to talk about the rank system for a while. I think that's probably it for me.
That's it, yeah.
That would make it better.
Both of those things I think are pretty good. In the comments below, if we didn't touch on something, let us know. I mean, I think ranks system and mastering system and then the cosmetics I think are important. But let's then move on, fellas. We'll go to our next point, and this is our last point here on Krashy's channel. Crash, I'll have you start it out, man. Most needed buffs and nerfs. Now, I think we were all expecting a balance patch, or hoping for a balance patch with Blastoise.
Yeah, I gotta say, first and foremost, I can't believe there was no balance patch. It's just wild. And the main reason why is because they've just been so proactive with balance that I was like, I knew for sure it was coming. So that's one thing. But yeah, Blastoise, he needs to be nerfed. Listen, I had a good discussion about it recently, and he is just putting up way too much damage. But I want to put the caveat in here that I think that the kit design was beautifully done. Yeah. They took a character and gave him 4 abilities, and there are clear reasons to take those abilities. He has like he's got some abilities that lean into that like all-rounder in your face play style, and then he's got abilities that are very CC focused and very tank focused, and that is the perfect like balance of the design. And the numbers are off, in my opinion, and that's fine. Numbers can be, you can type some numbers up and down, no big deal. So his kit design, I'm super excited about, but I do think that, like, and without spoiling just yet, his damage build, or his abilities that do more damage, it's way too much. It's a staggering amount of damage. So pull him in line a little bit. Amazing design. I think he's a great character for the game.
You know, yeah. I think it's funny. I think, Jake, you may have talked about this before. Like, I thought the reason he didn't come out so soon is that they knew that from the beta, like, maybe they needed to adjust some things. And I thought that we were going to get somewhat of a different kind of design-wise Blastoise from, like, what we were going to get. He seems like he does too much. He does. Like, the first couple games, I'm like... And again, I think we've talked about this before, too. But newer characters, I think typically they try to lean into making them somewhat... You know, they're not trash, so that people at least want to get them and want to play them. I mean, I'm obsessed with Squirtle. I have him around my living room, but I gotta know, Spragels, you've been such a Blastoise lover, man. What are your thoughts on Blastoise?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were waiting to bring him out because when I watched Surf in the beta, I just thought, you're giving someone Talonflame's Unite move on a like a small cooldown. This is kind of crazy. They're probably going to balance that. They didn't, and also the Rapid Spin build is amazing. So I get that they always release Pokemon, or in most MOBAs they release a new character and it's pretty dang legit. It's always banned from tournaments because it's not super balanced yet. So I kind of get how all that happened. But yeah, he came out super strong, which I'm happy about as a Squirtle lover, but he does need to be tweaked a little bit. I think Krashy's idea of tweaking the damage makes sense because the defender build with him, I think, is right in line with the rest of the defenders. Really good, but just maybe a little too strong. The Rapid Spin build is a crazy amount of damage. It's it's so fun too. He's one of the funnest Pokemon to play, I think.
Yeah, he's, like I said, the kit design, they knocked it out of the park. And it's wild because there are other things that, like, prior to Blastoise, that were just so problematic to me balance wise, and it's like I can't even think about them anymore. Like, I literally can. Like, I do still think that, like, certain things like block on Snorlax need to be changed a little bit. I think Lucario is, like, well overtuned. But ironically, like, prior to Blastoise's release, I would have said Lucario is objectively the most overpowered character in the game. He's ridiculous, and now I'm just like, Lucario who? Like, what? What?
well, I think Blastoise, at least in my gameplay that I've done, you know, a good amount of battles with him, what I like about Blastoise is I do like the core kit of his defending skills is making other Pokemon out of place, right? If Lucario does a power-up punch, you can surf him, shove him all the way in your lane, and then, like, he's done, right? It really kind of counters that. I think that they do get the core mechanics down, and I know we'll talk about the best builds on I guess on my side of things, but I can't wait to talk about the best builds because I want to hear y'all's thoughts on. It's like Lucario's kit almost. Like, extreme speed is so good too. It's like, what do you pick with Blastoise? So we'll get to that. But yes, Blastoise for sure, I think, is could use a little bit of damage numbers balancing. Jake, what about you, man? What do you think that needs to be buffed, nerfed right now? The most needed outside of the stories.
I've seen a lot of people say that we need to buff the people you play with because they're terrible. And I don't think that's a bad idea. But if I'm being serious, I would like to buff a lot of the speedsters, just the speedster role in general. I feel bad because often when I'm talking about the game and I'm talking about, you know, the tiers people fit into and where you want to see someone in a game, I never want to see a speedster on my team when I'm playing, and it's not because they may not be very, very good with that speedster, but they just don't fit into the meta of this game. They don't really work in the end game. They're horrible at that final team fight for the most part. I know they're I get it. If you're a Zeraora main, I'm not trying to attack you.
The comments are coming. The comments are coming.
Like, I totally get it, and I get loving these Pokemon, and I get saying you're a great Absol player. I don't doubt it. All I'm saying is I would rather have someone else in the jungle getting that experience. It's so much more important for a Greninja to have it than a Talonflame. Yes. So they need to do something with speedsters in general, or the jungle in general. But if there was a way to maybe buff the speedsters, even their survivability late game, maybe if they just buffed that a little bit, maybe it would help fix the problem. I still probably don't think it does, because you're gonna want one of your attackers to get all that XP, which is the biggest problem. But I want to see speedsters not be someone that I go, oh great, you know, we've got a Talonflame, we've got a Gengar, I hope we can make this work. So that's what I would love to see, something done to help these speedsters out.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, man. I think, hey, two things, we've all been there when you're sitting there and you're making your team comp and you see the Absol, and it's like, there goes any creativity with that kid. Like, you know, immediately, I call center lane or central area is coming within seconds after that pick, right? Yeah. But on top of that, I think they just don't scale well. I think you're right. I think that the jungle, I think it might be the jungle that needs adjustment. It's a tough call. It's like, dude, the speedsters need to be better in there. Do they need... The survivability is surely an issue. I mean, definitely with all of them, really. You know, Zeraora, I guess someone has some of the shielding that gives them a little bit more life, but the mobility doesn't equal... Like, Blastoise has better mobility than Absol does, almost, because of his surf. It's like, I don't know. Krashy, your thoughts on the speedsters?
Yeah, so, I'm going to kind of wrap it all into a nice little neat package. I definitely think that a lot of what we're having issues with are like systemic issues with the jungle. Like, we're enabling characters that I think are supposed to have a much different progression curve into taking positions. And we've talked about this in the past. So I'm not going to harp on that too much. But the same thing could be said about all-rounders. I mean, we're literally saying the same thing. Like, why would... Like, I love Charizard. He's my favorite Pokemon of all time, my favorite character in the game to play. But why would I take Greninja farm from Charizard, or like Charizard? Why would I do that? That's just nonsensical. So I think when we're talking about the whole discussion, we should be finding ways, balance-wise, and we're like I said, really wrapping it all together, finding ways to lower the viability of attackers in jungle, raise the viability of all-rounders and speedsters in lane, bring everybody in, you know, bring us all into this nice, neat little position. And it's funny because we were talking about Zeraora. He's like the perfect model. He's great in jungle, scales pretty darn well.
Yep.
Really good in lane, surprisingly. Like Zeraora lane, not bad.
No,
his stats in the early game enable him to do it. His mobility in the early game enable him to do it. And it's the same thing for Lucario. Really, really good mobility, really good stats in the early game. And I think that that's what they should be striving for, pulling everybody in a little bit. And yeah, I don't know. I'm sure we've all seen the hyper carry potential of Cinderace and Greninja late game. If they're scaling, if their curve, I think about it as a graph. If their curve was much slower and it progressively went up like this through lane, no big deal. But when you have them in jungle, they start really high up the graph and they spike really hard.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's why they're taking up those positions. So I think we see some of those changes that are all really kind of interconnected, and that'll really balance some things out.
Yeah, they just need an identity, I think. Like, I think that the speedsters don't have an identity. I think if we talk about them all, like, you could talk about what every role does well, and the speedsters are supposed to have, again, the mobility and good at jungle clearing. But yeah, like, yes, I can't take that from Cinder. I can't take that from Greninja. So I would agree fully there with the speedster, Jake. I think that's a good commentary there.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a nice, as Krashy would say, it was nice and neat. I'm gonna start using that together. So my final thoughts on what I think could get, just not buffed. I just figured out, and again, this has also been talked about. It's just how, because it's a 10-minute MOBA, right? The later game, Krashy, you tweeted on this. Go check out Krashy on Twitter, but you tweeted about how the differences of scaling and evolving with Pokemon and getting a Ninetales at 4, right? Compared to, some of these other Pokemon. Obviously, Charizard's a big obvious one that just, takes a while to get to where he's at. Let's talk about that, fellas. How do you feel like it is right now having Pokemon that kind of power spike a little bit later rather than the ones that get it, quicker? And what's how do you solve that with people like Garchomp? And they're trying and it's working a little bit, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think a lot of what Krashy was talking about with the jungle is part of this. In lane, there are a few people that probably need some help, like Gardevoir in lane needs some help. I get why people would want to send it to the jungle because it's just, it's really an underwhelming laning Pokemon. I actually don't mind the idea of having a Pokemon that's kind of tough early and you've really got to protect them and help them out, and then later in the game they become a bit of a monster. I don't really mind that at all. Yep. But just with this setup that we have right now, that you really want your Greninja fed so it can get a full team KO at the first Dreadnought, that part of it makes it tough to have your team send, a Garchomp into the jungle or something like that. So I don't know how you balance it, but it goes right back to the discussion of the jungle. Maybe for some of the Pokemon like Gardevoir, Garchomp, Charizard, things like that, maybe we do make it a little easier for them to become their form, so mid-game they're a little bit stronger. So maybe you reduce the level they evolve by 1 or something like that.
Is it the importance of Dreadnought, though, do you think affects it too? Just how much that first fight is? Like, if that would be reduced in any way, do you think that would help these late gamers? Because that first fight's not so dang imperative for scaling.
Yeah, it's tough though, because you really do want to set up objectives for people to fight around. I like that the game has multiple places where you go, yeah, we actually need to be here. Yeah. Team fight. Like I do like that.
Agreed.
And I don't know, you can lose a Dread and still win a round. So I'm not sure if Dreadnought is the issue there as much as it is something else.
Okay.
I've got fun thoughts. I'm over here smiling at my own brain. Like, okay, so let me dive into this one. I think the notion or the implications of having characters that hit their Unite move at 8, 9, and 10 is stupid. To me, it's so
the Unite move
aspect
stupid. Of it. Okay.
But it's for all of the evolutionary parts, right? Like, it's even just getting your abilities. Like, some get it 5, 7, 9. Yep. Others get it like much earlier and later. And I just think that, like, when you look at that, it's like it's a 1-to-1 correlation to power a lot of the time. It's like, well, yeah, the people that get their Unite move at 8 and 9 are just simply more valuable than the people that get it at 10. It's as simple as that. Gardevoir comes online later. Garchomp comes online later. It's like, and that idea is fine, but not whenever you have a major objective where they can't reach that, because then it's like, well, okay, why pick them? So a couple of things, and this one hasn't seemed like a popular opinion, although it would probably be my preference. Standardize it across the board. Everybody hits Unite move at 9. Yep. That to me is fine. I don't really see a problem with it, but I know that there's going to be pushback on that, so to each their own on that opinion. Another potential solution, and this one I like a lot as well, is push back the mid-game objectives. Have Rotom and Dreadnought spawn at 5 minutes, and then you really only get like maybe one opportunity to contest Rotom and Dreadnought, or there's a much later opportunity to contest the second one. That one would give a little bit more definition to what it means to be a laner and what it means to be a jungler as well, because you would have to spend a little bit more time in those phases of the game. So I think that there's options. And I do think that it's weird that we have like these Pokemon that like are just awkwardly balanced because of just how they decided to evolve or put them in that way. And I don't know, like for me, if you compare like say Cinderace's ult or Wigglytuff's ult, I don't think that those ults are like lesser in value to say Garchomp's ult or Gardevoir's ult. I mean, Gardevoir's ult is pretty insane, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that it's so much more insane that it deserves to be pushed back all the way to level 10.
You know, Krashy, I had a thought, and it kind of made me smirk. It wasn't a full smile, but I was thinking if they do push back Dreadnought, I'm wondering if the reason they did not do that and maybe made it spawn earlier is because this game is so new and people are still learning it. It gives so much time for one lane to get absolutely dominated, and then the players kind of give up. I wonder if that's the reason they didn't do that, is because by the time that 6 minute or 5 minute Dreadnought would spawn, one lane's already crushed, they're 4 levels behind, and then the game steamrolls. So that's just a thought. Again, not a full smile, but it did make me smirk.
Little half smile. That, yeah, you know, that's a good point. I mean, there's so many catch-up mechanics already, but it's like, I feel like they just wanted to ensure, like, you know, to keep that Nintendo smile on there and not have people get completely steamrolled. I like the thought. I think Unite moves, Crash, I think that's a good point, man. I think Unite moves in general, there's a lot of questions I have about them. I think A, when you get them is definitely one. B, the cooldowns on some of them just don't make sense to me. Like, and not all of them. I'm not saying this is a big problem, but like, you'll look at some of the better ones, and it has to do with the Pokemon as a kid, but you look at some of the cooldowns, and to me, you know, they don't all make sense with how long some take and how little some take. I think Unite moves just barely tweaked, especially standardizing the levels and the abilities. That would be, and that would be huge. That would be a big catch up, because there's 8 and 10, right? Is there 7s out there too?
No, I think 8 is the lowest on what, Wigglytuff? I think there might be another one that I'm forgetting. Wiggly, but yeah, Wiggly, which I think is crazy considering how strong she is. But you know, whatever. Yeah, right. What do I know? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I personally, like I said, for me, I would love to get comments on this for sure. I don't really see an issue if we had everybody getting their ult at 9. Like Wiggly getting her ult at 9, Cinderace, Greninja getting at 9, Gardevoir, Garchomp getting at 9. Like, I can't really even think of like one downside of that. I just think it would be like, oh yeah, hey, that like all of them are encroaching 9. We should probably know that they're about to have their ultimate, like they're gonna spike. And 9, when people are hitting 9, except for the junglers, like the first Dreadnought is already almost over. So like, what's the desire or the need to push it further than after the first major objective? I just don't really see a point. Yep,
that's very solid point. Gentlemen, with that, we have more? We talked about, I think, nerfs, right? And well, we've done kind of both, but is there any Pokemon specifically? I know we briefly mentioned Lucario for a brief minute, and Blastoise. Anyone else that's on y'all's list of just might need a little, you wish would have been in a balance patch? You wish would have been in this Blastoise balance patch that we all thought would be there?
I mean, we've talked about it in the past, but I definitely think that Pikachu needs a little bit of love. You know, the irony with Pikachu is that he's not that bad, but it's like, it just feels like you get to the late game and it's like you're just tickling people a little bit. So find some kind of way to scale that character up. But I was actually going to say, in terms of buffs and nerfs, we could quickly touch on items, because I think that held items definitely could see a little bit of love, and there's a tricky way you got to do that, because we do have to invest our time and potentially money with our enhancers on how we do those. So I think that, and this has been my thought all along, or for a while since thinking about balancing the items, I think the best model is to probably buff the majority of them, so that way it's like, if you bought something that was bad, then cool, you get a buff, and if you bought something that was good, it's not like, oh darn, I'm just getting nerfed. Outside of maybe Buddy Barrier. Buddy Barrier, I genuinely think might be the only one.
I don't know how it keeps making it patch after patch. I have no idea.
You know,
it's crazy.
It's funny because I have what I think is like an elegant, simple solution that still keeps the item insane, and you just get rid of the 40% self shield on it. You make it a literal Buddy Barrier, a 40% ally shield, and then it's like, well, okay, that sounds good. Like, that's still going to save someone's life at least a little bit. But who really ends up wanting that item then? Supports and tanks. If I'm Greninja and I'm not going to shield myself, I'm probably not going to run that item. I might actually start taking attack weight. I might actually start, making sure that I'm running scope lens and focus band with muscle band. Like, it opens the door if you reduce how many people actually want that one singular item.
That's fair. That on Selfer, I think just a flat up production to like 20% or whatever. Like I agree though. I think that I like that idea because it makes you role the item a bit, role play the item a bit more, if for lack of a better word. For sure. Sprags, what about you, man? What do you think?
I'm thinking, yeah, they need to do something with Buddy Barrier, obviously, but they are in this very precarious situation where they have gotten people to give them real world money. Some people have given them a lot of money. I mean, some crazy people have level 30 items. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, they're nuts, man.
Yeah, nuts.
They're crazy, and whoever they are, you need to find them and do something about them. But in general, when people have paid real money to nerf something into the ground is going to be hard. However, Krashy's idea of just buffing some of the others is great. And something I think might be smart is when they maybe move into another season and they possibly really want to change something, giving some people some sort of respec option if the way that you've pooled all your money into these just doesn't work out anymore. I think giving someone the option to go, okay, Buddy Barrier is trash now, you get to take all that back and you can put it into a new item if you would like.
Yeah, rollbacks essentially is what, I would love to see. I mean, there's on games all the time, especially because this is coming to mobile, and it's actually, I've seen it done and I'm in the mobile world a little bit. Rollbacks is something that I think is important. If they change something regardless and that there's monetary value put into that, like, again, what kind of whale is getting 30 items? I don't know. I don't play with those people. Too sweaty for me. But no, anyway, I think that if Buddy Bear gets, nerfed, whatever, reset it to 1, give them the upgrade tokens or whatever, and then let the player decide if they want to reinvest in that or into another item. I think that's the most easy way to not break any boundaries.
That's simple because I mean, I think player options, and this is even when it comes down to like developers creating like settings in the game, more options for the player is always better. Like, and it doesn't have to be at a loss for them. Like if like say someone did buy, let's say, what is it? Isn't it 2,000 something enhancers to go to 30? Let's say somebody bought like 2,000 something enhancers to go to 30, and then they nerf the item. Well, they just refund the enhancers. It's not like they're not giving the money back. Like they're giving you back the option, the ability to choose what you want to do. And I think that that's perfectly fine. Now, if you have every single item maxed at 30, then that's not much of a benefit to you. But at that point, do you really care if the item got nerfed anyways? You'll just use a different item. So I think that it's a very simplistic thing to do. In terms of items, I think that one thing that I thought would be cool is maybe having seasonal items where they say, you know what, these items were cool season 1. We're going into season 2. We're going to take 2 of these items out of the pool, yoink them out of the pool, put them over here, and then drop 2 more in or something like that. That could be really cool. And then they could literally say, like, oh wait, we took your blah 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 item, here's all your enhancers back, reinvest. That could be a really cool way to.
What made me smile, Krashy? It wasn't even my own.
That wasn't even a smirk. It wasn't even a smirk. It was a full-blown Jake smile. So a question, just this is a bit off, and I'm sure we could have again, I think we could have a billion topics on every single Pokemon talk show, but I want to say, what do y'all think of if this game did have it? It won't at this point, but like a smite building system, right, where you had the items in game, like, but more simplistic, like much more simplistic. It's kind of an interesting time. I mean, like, I feel like at the end of the day, there's just going to be the same meta kind of thing. There's going to be like, boots and smite. If you play that, it was always boots for so long until, whenever they got rid of them. But what are your thoughts on those? I'm just curious. I've always wanted to know people's thoughts on this.
Love to see the game evolve in different ways, but I also do appreciate that this game does a lot of things differently from other MOBAs. So I think in such a short game, having a shop or something like that might be a little cumbersome. But then again, now we get to see what happens where people have to base, and then I don't know, you base so fast in this, maybe it doesn't matter. It would just it would be interesting to see. I would love to see them shake the game up a bit. Seasonally, I would love to see them change sort of how like objective fights work. Like Rotom and Dreadnought are gone, Zapdos is gone. We switched something out there, but I'm not sure how that would work, but I do think you're right. Eventually, everyone would go, you have to pick this item in the shop or you're kind of trolling.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, metas definitely develop all over the place, but I love that you asked that because I view this game for what it is, and I love that they took the MOBA formula and reworked it and spun it around and made it work. But that doesn't mean that the infrastructure for the gameplay couldn't fit into a more traditional setting. So hear me out on this. Follow me down this path. What if they made a 3-lane map with a robust jungle, made the game 20-25 minutes long, and then you go with a simple style of buying items? Maybe, you know, achieving something in the game, like knocking out a tower or killing, you know, so many wild Pokemon, or, you know, knocking out a player gives you a token. And then when you go back to base, you spend that token on one item. Now, here's a really simple thing. It gets real crazy when you have to do the League of Legends Dota style where you build this item into this item, and then it connects and turns into this item. Yeah. So what in games I've played in the past, they have item systems, and I'm not sure, I don't remember how Smite works. I came from a game called Infinite Crisis, was one of my MOBAs that I played, and it was an item that just had 4 tiers. You would buy like blah 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 ring, and it'd be like tier 1, and then you'd go back to base, and it's like, well, every time you buy that same item again, it just increases in efficacy, and like whether it's the percentage effect on it or whatever. I think that the gameplay, the core of what they've developed, is there. They built it. It's there. We can play it. 100%. Where they put that is totally up to them. If they want to build a very hardcore MOBA game type, they could go for that 30-minute, 45-minute game. Do I think they'll do it? No, not. And I don't really want them to or need them to. Yeah. But if they wanted to push the envelope a little bit, go for a 15, 20-minute game and have some in-game buildings for items, I could see it.
A 20-minute game would be, first of all, I think would be awesome. Don't get me wrong. I think some games could be a lot longer. That would just change the entire meta too. I would love it. Like that's when we would see Gardevoir. Gardevoir would be like so vastly picked, right? And stuff like that. But poof, that's interesting. And with mobile coming out, I want to see what that does to casual play too. Like I'm curious to see what happens with all that. To wrap the I guess the subject as a whole, Jake, you have any last comments on that?
No, I think this is great. I'm so happy to be here with you two gentlemen. This was so much fun.
Yeah, both of you guys are the legends of the Pokemon Unite, universe. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Krashy, thanks for having this one on your channel. We did,
of course,
what would make Pokemon Unite better. I'm sure we could have another 10 points there. But I think overall, I'm happy with release. I think they've done a good job. I think that obviously the rank is what is the most important, and after that, I think hats off. I think they've done a pretty good job. Crash, your channel, you close it, buddy.
Friends, thank y'all for being here with me, you two specifically. As for the viewers at home, we definitely appreciate y'all for being here. As always, be sure to be kind to one another, tell someone that you love them, and we'll see you on the next video.